What if I told you that the story of a super soldier frozen in time and waking up in a new world didn't start with Captain America? You know the story, right? A hero, a man out of time, preserved for decades in a giant block of ice. He gets thawed out in our modern world, and he's ready to save the day. It's a classic Hollywood trope we all know and love. But what if this whole idea wasn't Hollywood's at all? The core idea that links these two is something called suspended animation. It's basically the idea of hitting a giant pause button on life itself, stopping all biological functions to preserve the body over these incredible stretches of time. It sounds like pure sci-fi, but believe it or not, it is quickly becoming science fact. Today, people are actually pursuing this through cryonics. Using liquid nitrogen, they cool the body down to an unbelievably cold -196°C. At that temperature, all biological processes, and I mean everything, including aging, just grind to a complete halt. And as you can probably guess, this kind of tech does not come cheap. The price tag can run you upwards of $220,000. It's a very modern and very expensive quest for a second chance in the future. We've seen the modern way. It's expensive, it's complicated, and let's be honest, its ultimate goal is still totally theoretical. So what if a much more elegant and maybe even a more effective version of this whole idea was described in a story from long, long ago? Let's travel way back in time to ancient India. All right, now let's really meet our original hero. Forget the science lab, forget the liquid nitrogen. We're going way back to an age of gods and cosmic battles to meet King Muchukunda. Muchukunda was this legendary warrior, again from the same royal line as Lord Rama.
This isn't just some throwaway line in a story. The Epic of King Muchukunda lays out a functional, practical use for suspended animation. It wasn't just magic for magic's sake. It was a central plot point and, as we'll see, an incredible strategic tool. All right, so let's meet the man of the hour, King Muchukunda. He was this legendary warrior, a real powerhouse. But his life takes this absolutely wild turn when the gods themselves ask for his help to fight a war in another dimension. And yeah, traveling to another dimension comes with some pretty strange physics. Have you ever heard of time dilation? It's a very real concept from Einstein's theory of relativity. The short version is that time isn't constant. It can actually speed up or slow down depending on where you are or how fast you're moving. And what's so wild is that this ancient story uses that exact principle to explain what happens next. And here's the fallout from that little trip. For King Muchukunda fighting in the celestial realm, it felt like only a few years had gone by. But back on Earth, entire ages, we're talking multiple yugas, which are these vast spans of time, had passed. When he finally came back, he was a man totally out of time. His kingdom, his family, everyone he ever knew, gone. So he's completely exhausted from war and totally heartbroken. As his reward, he asks the gods for just one thing, to be able to sleep without ever being disturbed. But this wasn't just any nap. The gods gave him a boon with a lethal security system. Anyone, and I mean anyone, who woke him up would be instantly burned to a crisp by his gaze the second he opened his eyes. So Muchukunda finds this remote cave and goes to sleep. But you have to think of this cave as more than just a cave. It effectively became his personal stasis chamber. For countless years, all his biological processes just stopped. He didn't age a single day. He was perfectly preserved, just waiting in this deep, divinely protected sleep. Okay, so let's fast forward a few ages to the Dwapara Yuga. A new threat has emerged, a terrifying warlord named Kalayavana. This guy was a real problem. He was a brutal conqueror, but what made him truly dangerous was a special boon that made him seem completely unbeatable. So get this, Kalayavana had this massive army, 30 million strong. But that wasn't even the worst part. He had a boon from Lord Shiva himself that made him invincible to any kind of weapon. Think about that for a second. How do you possibly defeat an enemy that cannot be harmed by a sword, an arrow, or any weapon known to man? This is where Lord Krishna, the ultimate strategist, enters the picture. Faced with this impossible enemy, Krishna doesn't even try to fight him head-on. That would be pointless. Instead, he does the last thing anyone would expect. He turns around and runs. Now, this move earned him the name Ranchod, which literally means one who flees a battlefield. And to anyone watching, it must have looked like pure cowardice. But this wasn't a retreat born from fear. Oh no. It was a calculated, tactical lure. It was the first move in an absolutely brilliant plan. The unstoppable warlord is chasing the ultimate mastermind, heading straight for the soldier who's been asleep for ages. The trap is set and ready to be sprung. So Krishna, with Kalayavana right on his heels, runs directly into the mouth of the very cave where King Muchukunda is sleeping. The warlord, just totally blinded by his arrogance and rage, charges right in after him.
And then, in a moment of pure genius, Krishna takes off his own signature yellow shawl, drapes it over the sleeping king, and then disappears into the darkness of the cave. The bait has been perfectly set and disguised.
Kalayavana storms into the cave, sees the figure lying there wrapped in yellow, and he's sure he's got him. In a fit of pure rage, he kicks the sleeping man, yelling at him to get up and fight. He has just made the biggest and last mistake of his life. King Muchukunda, after eons of peaceful slumber, is violently jolted awake. His eyes snap open, and that powerful, God-given boon is unleashed. A blast of fiery cosmic energy shoots from his gaze, and Kalayavana is instantly incinerated, just gone, reduced to nothing but a pile of ash. I mean, just look at how flawless this was. Let's run down the checklist. The constraint. Krishna couldn't use a weapon. Did he? Nope. Success. Shiva's boon for Kalayavana had to be honored. Was it? Yep, he wasn't killed by a weapon. Success. And the threat had to be eliminated. Was he? Absolutely. Success. It was a perfect, strategic checkmate. But the story doesn't quite end there. What happened when Muchukunda woke up is, to me, one of the coolest parts. He looks around at this new era, at Krishna and the people of the Dwapara Yuga, and his first observation is that humans are now so much shorter than they were in his time. He was literally a time traveler getting a first-hand look at human evolution. So, after fulfilling this incredible destiny and meeting the divine, King Muchukunda's journey was finally over. He traveled north to the Himalayas, spent the rest of his days in meditation, and peacefully attained moksha, or total liberation. A truly fitting end to one of the most epic stories ever told. So, it really leaves you with this incredible thought. The story of King Muchukunda packs in cryosleep, time dilation, and mind-bending military strategy all into one ancient epic. It blurs that line between myth and what we'd call speculative science, and it makes you wonder, what other modern breakthroughs and incredible ideas are just sitting there, waiting for us, hiding in plain sight within our oldest and most sacred legends?
Join us at Katha Vriksha, Vedic Lokah. Subscribe to explore a history where the ancient past and the most advanced sciences of the future occupy the same space.